normally take a few minutes to round up the news this week, but every once in a while, I want to step away from the news cycle and bring you something really special and really unique. And this next story is that. A little girl celebrated a birthday this week. In fact, she shares her birthday with the U.S. Constitution, and quite frankly, that's fitting as she embodies American resilience. Her birth name? Gianna Grace Masciantonio. Some like to call her the Miracle on Market because she's a little girl with a very big story. The second child of her parents, Joe and Kristen, little Gianna came into the world named after Saint Gianna, a modern-day saint of Italy, a patron saint of mothers and pediatricians, a fact almost unbelievable, if not for the rest of her story. And we're lucky because her mother decided to share it with us, but not before she tucked little Gianna in for the night.
Jenna, can I say goodnight to her really fast?
Yeah, of course.
He said she.
Do you want me to? Do you want to call me back?
No, no. Just hey, can I have a kiss? I love you. I'll see you in the morning, okay? You hear her fake sneezing.
Is that what she was doing? Achoo?
Yeah.
That exchange, like any in any household in America, but only a few years ago, Gianna would not have heard her mother's "I love you." A few days after her birthday, on September 17th, 2014, Gianna failed the regular hearing test given to newborns at most hospitals. Her doctors soon learned she was completely deaf, but didn't know exactly why. So at a month old, Gianna had a very big mission, one of many to come. Her first MRI, and that's where we pick up the story with her mother, Kristen.
Yeah, so we had been in the hospital for an MRI, which we thought the doctors were just looking for an auditory nerve to be missing, and they pulled us into a room, and I swear maybe 15 doctors walked in. And they all knelt down in front of us. And they said, "We're sorry, but your daughter has a massive brainstem tumor." And Joey, trying to be the positive person he is, said, we can do surgery, we can do chemo. What can we do? And they said, nothing. There's nothing that we can do. Her tumor was located in her brainstem, and it was bigger than a golf ball. They said she didn't have long to live, and we kept asking for some kind of hope. And how long does she have? What kind of quality life, will she have while she's here? And the one doctor looked at us and said, "I can only guarantee you one thing. Your daughter will not live to see her first birthday." And that was yes.
So how old was Gianna at that point?
She was 4 weeks old exactly.
And how old is she now?
She just turned 4.
She just turned 4 years old.
Much has transpired between 4 weeks and 4 years. But to understand the present, we must remember the past. The doctors, as you heard, gave Gianna and her parents nearly no hope at all.
You're surviving each day. You're surviving not even each day, minute to minute, hour to hour, you're just trying to get by. And you're trying to do it without being sad because, we have her and she's amazing, and our son. And so we wanted to live the best life we could for our children.
Because let's be clear, the doctors basically said to you that at any moment you could lose her.
Any moment.
Oh my gosh.
They said it could happen in her sleep. It could just just the tumor was so large, and it could stop the waves. Your brainstem, it's breathing, it's your heart, it's seeing, it's hearing everything that you need to survive. So they weren't sure exactly what was going to happen, but they didn't think she had very long.
Doctors, perplexed about her condition and concerned about any exploratory surgery, kept little Gianna on hospice. In the meantime, Kristen and Joe sent their daughter's information everywhere and anywhere asking for advice. Despite the constant drumbeat of negative feedback, Kristen and Joe kept pursuing answers and continued to pray. And then one day, they received an important phone call on Christmas Eve.
Gianna was playing Baby Jesus in the Christmas tableau, and Dominic was a shepherd. And we got a phone call from Sloan Kettering. And Dr. Dunkel, who's a neuro-oncologist, personally called us. And he said, I think you need a biopsy. I've never seen anything like this. And we just felt, a phone call, Christmas Eve, we want a biopsy.
Now, this is a crucial part of the story. You cannot treat a tumor unless you know exactly what kind of tumor it is. But up until that point, most of Gianna's doctors felt it was too dangerous to operate, and quite frankly, they didn't have any hope that it would actually help. Yet on Valentine's Day, just shy of 4 months old, Gianna went on her second big mission, a biopsy that lasted 10 hours. It would be one of 18 total surgeries she's had, but perhaps one of the most crucial.
Her biopsy led to a 3-month stay in the hospital, in the ICU, tough living in the ICU. And typically he had told us once he does the biopsy, he can usually tell right away from looking at it what it is, and they send it away to the lab. And after he came out, he said, I'm not sure what this is. It's really big cells. I don't know. And after a week, we're still waiting. It's 2 weeks. We're still waiting. 3 weeks. They say, listen, this is something really rare. We're not exactly sure what it is. We need to send it to another hospital to look at. And it took over a month to get a diagnosis.
And what was the diagnosis?
The diagnosis was not a brain cancer. She had a brain tumor, but it was not cancerous. It was a blood disorder.
An extremely rare blood disorder, and Gianna's case itself even more rare. In fact, the new information didn't immediately lead to any new clarity or any new treatment or even any new hope. Doctors kept Gianna on hospice and in the hospital. Then one day, Kristen received a call from a doctor in Texas who said he had a solution: an end-stage leukemia chemotherapy with extremely dangerous side effects. But Kristen and Joe felt hopeful to have a chance at treatment and began the grueling regimen. Gianna would be hospitalized for chemotherapy for a full week, then sent home to recover, to often soon return to the hospital and be readmitted because of the side effects of the chemo. Yet months later, Gianna did what some believed never, ever would happen. She celebrated her first birthday days before the Pope's first and only visit to the United States. Months earlier, Kristen had a dream so salient it can bring her to tears to this day, that her daughter met Pope Francis in Philadelphia. Yet she knew in reality arranging a meeting would be nearly impossible. Plus, any crowd, let alone a crowd of hundreds of thousands, would be a huge risk for Gianna's immune system, weakened by the chemotherapy. Yet despite all these very rational reasons for not going to see the Pope, something changed. Listen to the complete story as only Kristen can tell it.
My girlfriend calls me. It's around 10 o'clock. And she said, Kristen, I'm going to the parade. I know that you would love to take Gianna. Why don't you guys come with me? So I asked Joey. He is definite. We're not going, Kristen. She just finished her treatments. He turns on the news. He's like, look at this. It's crazy. There's millions of people. There's no trains left into the city. if we drive, it's going to take forever. We'll never make it there on time. It's to get through security. It's hours to get through these lines. I'll fly you to Rome. I will fly you to Rome. You'll have a better chance of seeing him in Rome than you do in Philadelphia today. And I was like, I think I'm going to take her. He calls her doctor. Kristen's trying to take Gianna into the city. She wants her to be close to Pope Francis, and Gianna's doctor is the sweetest guy. And he's like, I can't say no to that. If this is something that she feels very strongly about. And Jen, I'm telling you, like, we had woke up that morning. I mean, like, no showers. No, we were not planning on going anywhere. I call her up. I'm like, let's go. So he's like, I can't let you take her into the city alone. So we all went. So it was Joey, myself, the kids, my girlfriend, and her daughter. And we drove to the city, and the entire time he's like, I can't believe we're doing this. Made it in the fastest time we've ever made it to the city. It was unbelievable. And we found a parking place as soon as we got in. Had no problems. We ended up settling in front of the Federal Building on Market Street, and we just sat on the sidewalk to watch the parade. We had met a bunch of FBI agents and the Monsignor for the FBI who was praying for us. We shared Gianna's story with them. They were, just amazing people, and waited there for the parade to begin.
And then what happens?
So we're watching the parade, and we see his Pope Mobile make the turn onto the road. And we see it coming down the road, and it's getting closer. And he starts getting closer to our side of the street. I didn't even have my phone out because I didn't care about, videotaping. I wanted to be in the moment, in his presence, and pray for her. And Joey was holding Gianna. I was holding rosary beads. And our new friends, were yelling his name. And he saw Joey holding her, and he stopped. And his head security guard, Domenico Gianni, took Gianna from Joey. And I fell to my knees as he kissed her on the head and blessed her. It was absolutely amazing. These were still really hard. She had feeding problems. She had vision problems. She had hearing problems. She had a ton of tone on the left side of her body. She's a year old, and she's not, meeting milestones, and she's going through these intensive chemo treatments, and, life was still not easy at that point at all. And you just pray, and you pray for strength, and you pray that you're able to accept God's will for her. No matter what it is, you pray for a sign that God's hearing your prayers. And to me, when Pope Francis kissed her, it was a sign that God had been with us the entire time. That he's heard our prayers, and he's there.
The fact Pope Francis chose Gianna, a baby in a sea of people, was astonishing in and of itself. Some estimates placed the crowd size that day as high as 1.5 million people. And when many in the media learned of the Pope kissing a sick baby on Market Street in Philadelphia, Gianna earned a nickname, the Miracle on Market. Yet despite this miraculous moment, Kristen and Joe returned to regular life. Many more chemotherapy treatments, blood tests, and prayer for a breakthrough. And that breakthrough suddenly came.
Gianna was getting MRIs every 2 months, and her very first MRI after her first 2 months of treatment, it showed a small shrinkage in the tumor. So they had seen that the tumor was responding, and it shrank a tiny bit, and then nothing, and then nothing. And the doctor had told us, don't get discouraged. Sometimes the cells can be stubborn, and it can take a little bit longer. And so we're just praying that it works, and praying that she continues to get a little stronger and a little bit better. And she had gone in for her regular MRI, and I think it was in October. It was either in October or early November. They couldn't see the tumor in the scan.
And did that perplex the doctors? What was their reaction when something they had been monitoring for so long wasn't in the scan?
You could tell that she, had a tumor. The fluid in her brain wasn't symmetrical yet. I don't even think it is at this point. But the large, white tumor that you saw before was not in a lot of the cuts of the MRI scan. It wasn't there. There was a shadow in a few of them, and they weren't sure if that was scar tissue or what that was exactly. So yeah, so the tumor was gone.
You say that with a question mark, right? Like that it's sort of stunning. What did you think about that and the course of events? The fact that
I don't even think we truly, look, sitting in the doctor's office, looking at the scans on the wall, I don't even think, we really understood.
It is hard to describe this development because the tumor had effectively disappeared. Kristen and Joe attribute this to incredible healthcare, an amazing medical team, the treatment they chose, and faith. But that's not the way many in the press portrayed it, as Gianna's development, so shortly after the Pope's visit, gained international headlines that read like this: Families say kiss from Pope saved little girl.
My husband and I never said that. We don't believe a person can perform a miracle, that God performs miracles. And Pope Francis means a lot to our family. And him kissing her was our miracle. And it gave us strength, and it gave us fight to keep going. But we never said that the kiss healed her.
Gianna celebrated her 4th birthday. Big, complete with a princess-themed party. She's attending preschool, and she still has several missions a week: physical therapy, vision therapy, horse therapy to strengthen her core, facial movement therapy. But her parents describe her as a hardworking, positive, smart, and very sweet little girl. In fact, one of the sweetest little girls you ever meet. And her hearing came back. Now, Kristen and Joe have set up a foundation called For the Love of Grace to help other families like theirs, donating 100% of the proceeds to research and support for children with pediatric brain tumors. Only in the first year, major corporate sponsors have teamed up with the family, including designer shoe brand Jimmy Choo. In fact, a portion of the purchases at the Jimmy Choo store in the King of Prussia Mall in Pennsylvania this weekend will go to the foundation. It's part of the birthday celebration for Gianna. There's so much more to this story, but I'll leave you today with this one thought from Kristen as she reflects on the last few years and her little 4-year-old miracle on market.
I'd lie if I say it didn't make me a better person. I would lie if I say it didn't make my faith stronger. I wish it didn't happen, though, because you hate to see your child so sick, and you hate to see your baby go through so many terrible things. But it taught me about the importance of prayer. It taught me the importance of surrendering to God, surrendering your fears to Him, and just knowing that no matter what happens, whether it's going to be a bad outcome or a good outcome, He's going to be there to help you get through it.
Thank you so much to Kristen for sharing Gianna's story on her daughter's birthday week and for reminding us about the power of accurate storytelling. Gianna's story can be miraculous and also a story that reflects the incredible care of amazing doctors, innovative treatments, hard work, and prayer. It can actually include all of those things. In fact, it's more interesting and more profound to know the truth, to know the facts. If you like to shop, because I know I do, get in touch with the Jimmy Choo store in the King of Prussia Mall. You can call them or you can email them. King of Prussia, Prussia, King of Prussia @jimmychoo.com, or call 610-557-0530. You can also visit fortheloveofgracefoundation.org for more information on Gianna's story. In the meantime, check out Smarter News for our regular current event coverage with a dash of stories like this one that you won't hear anywhere else. I hope you feel both informed and inspired. I know I do. I'm Jenna. This is Smarter News. Have a great day wherever you are.